It is 10 o'clock. We start a brand new week here on Jocks. The whole gang back together. Hopefully everybody over their sickness, everyone made it up the hill.
Yes. That's a win on mornings like this.
I do think you having change on your truck was a little bit too much, especially since we didn't get any snow. But you know what? You'd be you.
That's right.
You do what you want to do,
Sled dogs are good and fed. They're ready for the next inclement event.
All the sparks coming up the hill off your chains on your truck.
Hopefully everybody in our Jocks listening area is fared just as well as we did, but I don't think they did.
Yeah, I will tell you this. As everyone knows that listens to the show, I have the majority of my family lives in North Mississippi, and they have gotten over an inch of ice, and it could be weeks before they can get electricity and water. So folks in North Mississippi got hit really, really bad.
Yeah, thinking about those folks, and if there's any way that we can do anything from here, please reach out and let us know. We'd love to be of some kind of help if we can be.
So we did dodge a bullet here for the most part in the state of Alabama. A lot to get into today. Setting the stage, Nick Kelly from AL.com. He'll join us at the bottom of the hour. A lot to get into with him, including the whole Bediako situation that took place over the weekend. Alabama fires their offensive line coach. Where do they go there? A lot to get into with Nick. Scott Hamilton, longtime Carolina columnist there in North Carolina and South Carolina, frequent visitor on this show, also hosts numerous radio shows in the Carolinas. He will join us. We will talk to him about Dabo Swinney going scorched earth on Ole Miss and Pete Golding, and also Darian Mensah still trying to get some relief from the courts to try to find his way south to play for the Miami Hurricanes. And Mike Gittins will join the program at 12:30. We'll get his latest on the Auburn Tigers' big win over the weekend. First win in Gainesville since 1996. And we've got a special guest coming on the show tomorrow.
Yeah, Stephen Pearl, Auburn men's basketball coach, is going to join us at 10:30 as we broadcast live from Social Taco. But going back to this weekend, that wasn't on my bingo card. Auburn gets a win in Gainesville the first time in 3 decades, and you could argue that much better teams that have gone in there to Exact Tech Arena. But Keyshawn Hall getting off to the good start, 10 straight points before another Auburn Tiger to score. 22 in the first half, Pat, 2 points in the second half. But it was his teammates and that defense that you saw, again, a lot like you saw in Oxford. Huge win for Auburn. And, Pat, if it comes down to committee time and resume time, those kinds of wins get a tournament committee's attention.
No, there's no doubt about that. Maybe Coach Golden should concentrate on his opponent that he was playing Saturday instead of running his mouth on Thursday night about Charles Bediako and how bad they were going to beat Alabama this week.
Maybe so.
A classic example of looking ahead and not paying attention and taking care of business against Auburn over the weekend. But as Landrum said, that's a huge win for Auburn. I'm sitting here looking at the this morning's net rankings for the Auburn Tigers, and Auburn comes in at 28. That is good for, I think that's 6th best in the SEC. I also saw over the weekend, because Alabama losing at home to the Tennessee Volunteers, they now drop in the net. They also, all these projections now have Alabama as a 6th seed in the NCAA tournament. So Alabama going in the opposite direction. Holloway didn't play the other night. They've got injuries. Bediako looked good, Conrad. For a guy that hasn't played basketball in 3 years at the collegiate level, he looked pretty good.
Yeah, it was funny. Me and Landrum were talking before the show, and it was, we had never, I guess, really thought about, well, what happens if Bediako plays well and Alabama still finds a way to lose the game? And that's exactly what happened. I mean, he had 13 points, played 25 minutes off the bench. He came in with right around the 16-minute mark of the first half, and there was a huge ovation for him. But, yeah, I mean, he played well. He affected shots. He was a physical presence, and he got a couple opportunities for some easy buckets as well. So, again, I think you feel good about him being acclimated, coming back. The guys seem to really respond to him on the court. So all of that was good. But now you find yourself scratching your head. You're now lost to Tennessee 5 times in a row, and a Tennessee team that, let's be honest, is probably the worst Tennessee team there's been in a couple of years, and you can't find a way at home to get a big win. So that's a disappointment.
It is. Alabama had not scored a lot of points in the paint until the other night, and they did really well, but unfortunately they just could not hit. And as we've seen under Nate Oates, when they do not hit their three-point shots, that is a recipe for them to lose. And that's exactly what happened the other night. They were not good from the outside. They only made 6 3-pointers. Tennessee did enough, and my goodness gracious, when you look at what they had, what's the name? Nate
Ament.
Ament.
Yeah, the freshman.
Man, he was.
Ament and Gillespie. They came up with some big shots second half.
Ament was really, really good for Tennessee. So Bama now 13-6, 3-3. But the big story out of Tuscaloosa, Conrad finally got his late Christmas gift, and that is Alabama fires its offensive line coach. So now the question is, who are they going to hire? I'm hearing all sorts of reports that they might hire more than one person for this position. So,
yeah, I've heard that there's, I guess, the potential of having would you say the way that I heard it described was maybe like a big picture guy and then somebody that's maybe more nitty gritty when it comes to the offensive line work. But I mean, clearly a position that's been lackluster for a few, even going back to Nick Saban, the end of his tenure. So I think a lot of people happy to see Kapilovic gone. I know they're looking at somebody who is a former Patriots and Oregon Duck offensive line coach, and Adrian Clem. So we'll see where it goes, but I know a lot of people were waiting on that one to happen.
yeah, Clem is a name that he has a background with Courtney Morgan. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. So this means that Alabama will have a new quarterback coach, a new tight ends coach, a new offensive line coach, and a new wide receiver coach, all on the staff. So much for, keeping everybody in line and going back to the same old.
Hey,
for
Kalen,
Alabama.
Nick had to deal with it his entire tenure. Small taste of it, right?
Yep, got to get this one right, though.
That's almost become just the nature of college football, though.
Well, I mean, when you're 125th out of 136 schools running the football,
somebody's going to take the fall.
yeah, and it's going to be him.
Mm-hmm. And if they continue not to run the football,
Then the next guy will take the fall.
it'll be the next guy.
We'll just keep that cycle going. So, which NFL championship game did you enjoy the most?
Oh, they were both. I love a good snow game. It was a little too much snow. I know that's crazy, but a little too much snow.
When you can't see what yard line it's on.
Yeah,
so much.
I liked it for the effect, but no, it would have been a later game. Seahawks and Rams was outstanding.
It's going to be interesting in the offseason, and this goes for both games, because there were multiple situations, obviously early on when Sean Payton decided not to kick the field goal.
Yep.
Decided to go for it, blew up in his face. I thought there was a situation yesterday in the nightcap where maybe McVay should have taken the points.
Yep.
But once again, these analytics and these folks, and I know I'm the old guy here, and I'm talking about the old days, but my goodness gracious, when you have an opportunity to get points with that much time left, especially the Denver game, you had an opportunity to, I mean, not saying that they knew what the weather was going to be in the second half, but man, you had an opportunity there to grab those points. But instead, these guys continued to just go for it. And obviously, it bit Sean Payton, and then it bit McVay in the nightcap.
Well, and then when he decides to do something that we would view as, all right, well, that's by the book, and then kick the field goal, you've got a guy that's made 28 of 32 on the year, and he misses. I don't know. The analytics, we certainly see it a lot more in the NFL than we used to. You would never see that in the NFL.
Gosh, no. More than anything in the
fourth
world.
down and one, you wouldn't see that in the NFL.
They were conservative.
Yeah.
I mean, they would not do that.
Play defense.
It's kind of bled over. I mean, from the college game to the pros now, because I'm telling you what, I mean, there's a lot of people that's going to be talking about both situations for McVay and Sean Payton.
And we probably shouldn't be surprised, though, because we've seen it in Major League Baseball. We see a lot of analytics being infused into the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's happened for a while, but yeah. I think it makes the NFL more entertaining.
Yeah.
Well, I think just with how good the offenses have gotten, most coaches just assume, well,
I guess unless you're a Rams or Broncos fan today.
Well, yeah. But again, it's one of those things, right? If that, again, it's a double-edged sword, right? If they convert one of those plays, we're sitting here talking about how great of a genius they are, how ballsy of a play call it was, and that's life of a coach.
Yeah. So if I would have been in Vegas before the kickoff of the season, and they listed every potential Super Bowl matchup, and I put $1 down on the New England Patriots facing the Seattle Seahawks, I would have gotten 4,800 to 1 odds. $1, I'd have made $4,800.
You still got that time machine in your basement.
Man. 4,800 to 1 that was going to be the exact Super Bowl matchup.
Yeah,
I would have loved, and I did not see the stat, but I would have loved to see for the college football national championship.
yeah,
I mean, what the odds would have been with Indiana and Miami playing for the national championship.
that's a good point.
You think it would be more or less than the 4,800 to 1?
I would think more.
I do too.
Yeah, definitely more.
I saw where people were acting like, the whole NFL is rigged and, it's
The
got a
graphic
script
from
and everything.
September.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, there's a graphic of, it's like all the prominent players, like, get ready for the next season. And you know who the two players at the front of the line are? Sam Darnold and Drake May.
Mm.
I'm just saying.
Mm.
Great coincidence.
That is quite unfortunate
But
for
when
Roger
you have,
Goodell.
But when you have Sauce Gardner towards the front of that graphic, too,
Well, yeah,
you're
that's
just
to
like,
throw. That's to
hold
throw
on.
guys like Conrad off.
Yeah, just hold on a second. Hold on.
It is funny, though, because it's going back and looks like
Right. Yep.
that's an interesting coincidence.
Hmm. We were all questioning, like, how are you going to fire a guy like Vrabel? That doesn't make any sense. It was all just a setup.
Yeah.
Oh, Geno Smith's going with Pete Carroll to the Raiders. I bet they're going to be good. What are the Seahawks going to do? It's crazy.
What a championship.
So, if the Seahawks win the Super Bowl, I think Alabama should fire Ryan Grubb because then that means they're going to win the national championship the next year.
Oh, is that how it is?
If they win in 2 weeks, it's a trend.
I think you've sold me.
It's a trend. We'll see if Kalen DeBoer likes that idea.
Yeah.
Well, flu season is here, so make your home
Is it?
healthier. Oh, yes, it is here.
Sure.
Trust me. It is definitely here.
It's really here.
It's really here. It
It's
is
not just
fun.
you saying that in the ad. I mean, it is like
No, it's actually here.
like
10 out of 10 do not
at your apartment for the
recommend.
last week.
Yes, Pat.
Okay.
Well, like Pat said, flu season is definitely here, I would know. So make your home healthier with Train's Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner. It removes up to 99.9% of airborne particles, including those that cause virus. It's 100 times more effective than standard air filters and 8 times more effective than HEPA room filters. So go and find a dealer near you at Train.com. Trust me, you do not want the flu.
It was a beautiful Friday news dump. Dabo Sweeney decides he is going to go scorched earth on an SEC school. Now Greg Sankey's involved. We'll tell you what that's all about next. It's 10:16. Welcome back in. This is Reaction Monday. We are live. This is not tape. We are live in studio. 21 degrees outside, but a balmy 68 here inside. A little cool in here.
Is it 68 in here?
I don't know. I just guessed.
I think you're inflating our number.
Yeah, it might be a little bit
It
cooler
might be
than that.
hovering around the 61 degree mark inside the studio.
Just a little bit of that. Well, you hear me talking about them all the time, and you need to put this number in your phone. It's Golston Tree Service, 205-337-4443. If you're in central Alabama, we have dodged a major bullet. But now's a great time to call Golston Tree Service because they can come and they can trim your trees. They can even knock them all down and they can take them all away and they can grind that stump out. They can do all that at Golston Tree Service. So now's the time to give them a call, 205-337-4443. They're fast, safe, affordable, full tree removals and trimming. Don't wait until that next storm causes the damage. Call Golston Tree Service, 24-hour emergency tree service as well, 205-337-4443. I always love these Friday news dumps. You know, typically we always joke around that most big news stories happen after 2 p.m. for Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah.
I mean, we're fortunate being a midday show that there's a lot of things that happen during the day. But so, you know, just going along with my business on Friday afternoon, and then all of a sudden I start seeing that Dabo Swinney is going cray-cray on Pete Golding and Ole Miss and college football in general. And I said, oh, my goodness, what's going on here? So on Friday, Chad Morris was being introduced as the new offensive coordinator for the Clemson Tigers. So Dabo then goes to the mic and he directly calls out Ole Miss and head coach Pete Golding for tampering with Luke Farrelly. If you're not familiar who Luke Farrelly was, I believe, an all-ACC defender for Cal.
Very good player.
Yeah.
And then he transfers to Clemson. He enrolls in Clemson. Matter of fact, he's in
Goes to
class.
class.
He's in class. He bought him a car so he could get around campus.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Meeting new friends.
yeah, he's making investments there in the Palmetto State. I mean, things are going good. Well, then, obviously, he decides that he's going to change his mind and go to Ole Miss, and that set off a chain of events in which Swinney decides that he is going to come clean. I mean, come clean with everything that happened between Luke Farrelly, Clemson, and Ole Miss, to the point to where Dabo Swinney had a phone conversation with Jim Phillips. And then that conversation turned into a communication between, I believe, Jim Phillips and Greg Sankey. So Swinney's at this press conference. He's armed with a stack of papers, including a precise timeline of how Farrelly went from being officially a Clemson Tiger to a student to then all of a sudden Pete Golding and the staff at Ole Miss start calling his agent, calling him directly. And then basically, according to Farrelly, that Pete Golding started texting him when he was at an 8 a.m. class, and the text read, "I know you're signed. What's the buyout?" So as SEC head coach is sending a text to his student at Clemson.
As he's getting his syllabus.
Yeah, said, I know you're signed, but what's the buyout? Swinney said Golding also texted Farrelly a picture of a $1 million contract and later increased the offer to 2 years. So not only are you asking, hey, what's your buyout? But here, I'm going to sweeten it a little bit. Here's a picture of a $1 million contract that we're ready to offer you here at Ole Miss. So then Farrelly told the linebackers coach, Ben Boulware, there at Clemson, and the general manager of the Clemson Tigers, that Golden also enlisted the assistance of a phone call by Trinidad Chambliss and Jackson Dart, calling Farrelly to obviously, hey, you know, we're big-time quarterbacks. We still don't know about Chambliss, whether he's going to play next year or not, but he's calling, trying to recruit Farrelly, and so is Jackson Dart. Swinney said Golden's actions were not only blatant, but blatantly hypocritical, given that Ole Miss and its fans, they're enraged at LSU and everything that's been going on with Lane Kiffin. During the press conference, Swinney says, this is just a really sad state of affairs. To me, we have a broken system. And he goes on, basically saying this is not about the linebacker at Clemson. I feel sorry for the young man, to be honest with you. I blame the adults.
Yeah. it goes back to what we've been saying. Pete Golding probably doesn't love what's going on in college football. A lot of these coaches don't, but they continue to do the things that they don't like. Just, I guess, the nature of how competitive it is. But Luke Farrelly, I can imagine that if you're at a place like Clemson and given just some of the reports of NIL values, and they're paying guys, but that is probably not the most lucrative program you could go to. And Pete Golding saw an opportunity, texted a kid. I told you this has been going on. Now, for Golding to get called out by a head coach, that's different. And then to him to basically give an account of everything and how it transpired, that rings a little differently, at least to the fan.
Well, and that's what I like about it is because we've had instances before. Like I go back to, Pat Narduzzi with Jordan Addison a couple years ago. Mac Brown, I think it was Mac Brown at the time when Drake May was there, and somebody's offering him $4 million to be a quarterback, whatever. But you hear a lot of these coaches come out and talk about tampering, but this is the first time I can remember somebody specifically not only telling you what school it was, what coach it was, but the exact details of the communication and how frequently it was happening, what was being said. It kind of feels like one of those things where maybe the more that this happens, the closer you get to some change actually coming along. But I'm glad that somebody finally said, you know what, I'm actually going to I'm going to share the receipts.
Yeah.
I'm going to call some people out instead of being vague about it. I'm going to let you know what's going on.
I don't think that Dabo, and I do think that Dabo had a problem with it, specifically with what Pete Golding and Ole Miss did. But I think the bigger thing that Dabo wanted to get out there was what Conrad just said. And these kinds of stories need to get out there. Everybody needs to hear them so they can hear and see how broken this game that we love is. So I applaud Dabo for doing it. I don't think it's going to change anything in the immediate future.
No, but good for him.
All right, here's what Dabo said in a nutshell. We're not playing you 8.5 minutes, but this is him bitching and complaining.
We turned everything in to the NCAA. And I'm just going to say this. This is like there's tampering and then there's blatant tampering. Tampering 101 is when you're talking to kids who aren't in the portal. Tampering 201 is when you've already negotiated the deal with the kids not in the portal. Tampering 301 is when you got a kid who's gone in the portal, signed somewhere, moved there, gone to classes, and you're texting them while they're in class. That's like a whole nother level of tampering. And it's total hypocrisy because all this is going on while they, on the other side, are trying to fight their defensive end from going in the portal. They have accused publicly others of tampering with their roster and their players while they are over here tampering.
All right, a couple of things. First and foremost, did Kalen DeBoer call for a press conference and call out Steve Sarkisian?
No. No, he did not.
Was Smothers not enrolled at the University of Alabama?
As far as we know, yeah.
Yes, he was. He was. So here's the crux of the whole situation. There was no signed documentation with him in Clemson. Zero. There was no NIL deal that had been signed. It is no difference than what happened with Hollywood Smothers. Kid was in class. He's a student. Hollywood Smothers, because it was during the Christmas break, so Alabama had not come back, but he was a student at the University of Alabama. He was enrolled. Then all of a sudden, Texas does what Texas did, and they bring him down. But is Kalen DeBoer calling for a FBI investigation and a complete change overhaul of the college football system because they lost a running back?
No, he's not. But that doesn't – Kalen DeBoer, Dabo, this is something that Dabo's going to do.
Dabo's playing to his base because, one, he was one of the last coaches to accept NIL and transfer portals, and he is trying to play to his fan base to cover his ass. That's exactly what he's doing. Yeah. Because he lost a player.
He's taking the good guy route, yeah.
Absolutely. But I got news for him. You don't have a signed NIL deal – this stuff is going to continue to happen.
If you have a signed NIL deal,
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
But that's the hypocrisy. We want to talk about hypocrisy. You can name every school that this has happened to. It happened to Alabama. And nobody's up there yelling and screaming about this and that and turning people into the NCAA. Now, I will tell you this, that I think if it was another ACC school, I don't think Dabo Swinney's up there doing what he was doing.
No, it gets a lot more attention because it's Ole Miss. Or it's an SEC school, but because it's Ole Miss and what he laid out with the Ole Miss LSU thing with Lane leaving, I just go back to, I think this is more about Dabo just putting it out there. He wanted this to be a national headline, be a national soundbite, and to continue to alert people to this is how dysfunctional college football is right now.
But it does also kind of play into the, you have another disappointing season. Well, we tried to bring good, better players in, but everybody's doing cheating,
he's got a
so
he's
that's
got
why
a
we
ton
don't
of
play.
pressure on him. He's had to gut his staff. You're bringing back Chad Morris. How much does that? I realize what he did when you had the likes of that wide receiving core and some of those other quarterbacks you had early before they won national titles. But okay, we'll see. A lot of pressure there.
You got to have a signed documentation for a revenue sharing agreement. They didn't have it. And guess what? Fornelli was in class at Ole Miss on Friday. He's got a signed agreement. So,
When you said
is what it
Pete
is.
Golding sending pictures, I was thinking this is the Grove on Saturdays. Compare that to where you are now.
Yeah, the Grove just got destroyed over the weekend, by the way.
I hate that. Hate that.
All right, when we come back on Three Man Front, we'll be joined by Nick Kelly, who was in attendance on the first game back for Charles Bediako, and get the very latest on the Alabama offensive line situation. This is Reaction Monday. Text line is open, brought to you by Courtesy GMC, 205-834-9450. 10:31 on this very cold January Monday. Welcome back in. It's Reaction Monday here on Jocks. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock. We'll check in with Nick Kelly from AL.com. He'll join the program momentarily. He covers the Alabama Crimson Tide. It's a very interesting weekend for Alabama athletics. Tennessee over Alabama in basketball, 79-73. Tide had 26 points in the paint at halftime. Bediako had 8 points at the break. He ended up playing 25 minutes, 13 points, 5 of 6 field goals, 3 for 4 from the charity stripe, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals. I would say that his, re-debut.
His impact was felt.
Yes, very much so. And I will say this. I heard Jay Billis on game day on Saturday morning. He was touching on the Bediako situation. And there was not a lot of vitriol towards Alabama for going through this, which kind of surprised me. I mean, it's more of a larger problem in college sports, and especially men's college basketball, that needs to be addressed. And I think that's what they were using that as a kind of a trampoline to get into the conversation for major change.
Yes, I think so too. But looking at Bediako, it didn't look like he had missed a beat.
No.
Maybe he had fine-tuned his game. I've got a new nickname for Bediako. I was going to try it out here on the show. You're the first person I've.
Okay.
7-foot scandal.
Okay.
You like it?
Okay. I don't know if it'll stick, but I mean, I like it. It's
Okay.
creative.
All right.
I like it.
That's first draft.
Okay. All right, joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline, he covers the Alabama Crimson Tide for AL.com. Nick Kelly joins us here on the program. Nick, I hope you and your beautiful bride had a nice weekend and stayed warm
He's
over the
used to
weekend.
this, Pat.
Oh yeah, he's from up north. He's
where snow was invented.
He's probably wearing a tank top and shorts all weekend long.
Probably
at his
so.
house.
He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
I'm sitting outside in that exact outfit. Do you guys have a camera somewhere? I'm a little
Bermuda
freaked out
shorts and your sandals. Just hanging
yeah.
out.
So you just make fun of your wife and everybody else for being cold, right? I mean,
right now. Well, I do chuckle a little bit because I did just. To be honest with you, I'm cold as well because I've lived here since 2021. So you come soft pretty fast. And I have, but then just for perspective, when I'm feeling cold here, I just look what it's back home, and it was about -10 this morning.
oh
so,
yeah, so this is balmy weather.
But this is a
Heard
wet
that.
cold. This is colder.
Exactly.
Wherever you've been, it's colder down here because it's a wet cold.
And you just tell everybody
Yeah.
up there, just hey, come down here in the summer, enjoy the humidity.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Exactly. Well, I mean that's the way to do it. You have a home in one place and then you have a home in the other.
Yeah.
But I'm not quite in that spot. But definitely nice to go back to Minnesota in the summer.
Well, your impressions on Charles Bediako with everything that happened late last week. I thought he looked really good. I think we saw real quick why Nate Oates wanted to have him on that roster. Your impressions of game number 1 for Bediako.
Yeah, it felt like a mid-season trade acquisition kind of thing, like that first game back with this new player after the trade deadline type of deal, and it was weird, frankly. I mean, it just to get out of legalese and get out of all that discussion, it was just strange to see him back. It was like we were back in time. But yeah, I think as far as how he played, I mean, he had an impact. He was good. I mean, I think more rebounding is going to be the key for him moving forward if or when he gets that clearance to keep playing, or I should say if, because the hearing's tomorrow. But yeah, I do think that he seemed to fit in pretty well. He didn't look out of place. He didn't look like he didn't know what he was doing. And even just the way that he was interacting with guys, it wasn't like he was off in the corner by himself because he hasn't played with any of these guys. I mean, considering he hasn't been here since 2023 and how much turnover you see in the roster every year, I mean, this is a completely different group. So it probably was strange for him to come in and have all these new guys there. But he was very much so around the guys. I mean, they were high-fiving him, dapping him up in warm-ups. It seemed like he was very much so part of it. Like if you didn't know that he was not, he had just been added to the team, he wouldn't have stuck out to you essentially. So that to me was what stood out in that. Yeah, it just seemed like he was back on the team, a lot different team, but certainly fit in just fine. And I think for him, yeah, if he can rebound more, he can help this team a lot.
Obviously, in bringing him back and the controversy, it's I guess, started or helped to fan across college basketball and college athletics. It's certainly been felt, but you got to feel like Nate Oates, Crimson Tide, after the ruling that Judge Roberts gave us with the temporary injunction last week, Nick, you got to think that Alabama feels pretty good moving forward based on legal experts that they've talked to that Charles Bediako will remain eligible.
Yeah, and until that officially is decided, you can't maybe count your chickens, but they seem to act and think that he is going to get that preliminary injunction, that he will be able to keep playing. I mean, the way he talked about it, he was asked about it post-game, and he said he's focusing on the next game. And to me, that was kind of made me smile, because if there's a guy who's never guaranteed the next game before, to a great extent, it's him. I mean, that is so far from a guarantee. But at the same time, he seems pretty encouraged that he's going to be able to get that preliminary injunction, which would then mean there's no timetable on how long he can play for. Because with the TRO, it was always, this is in place until that can be heard in a court of law, and that hearing will be tomorrow, Tuesday. So, yeah, this preliminary injunction, if he gets it, it could probably take him through the end of the season. Now, the NCAA could appeal. I mean, like, again, there's so many different motions can be filed and things of that nature. But at the same time, yeah, if he gets that preliminary injunction tomorrow, essentially he doesn't have to win the case. He just has to have it last long enough until the end of the season.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. Does this mean that this, I guess, the hearing tomorrow, will that be heard by the same judge? Is this a different judge, different court? What can you tell us about that, if you know?
Yeah, same judge.
Okay.
And until otherwise, yeah, it's going to be James Roberts,
okay,
the judge who ruled on, or who gave him the temporary restraining order. So yeah, until we hear otherwise, he will be the one who hears it. The reason why that ruling comes out so quickly is that when it's that temporary restraining order, like by nature, it's an emergency type order, so that there's no irreparable harm, and that essentially just means that they can act on it without a hearing. So that's essentially, he signs off on it without this being heard in front of him, but now it will be heard in front of him. Like, the facts of the case will be presented to him. You'll have lawyers from each side. And so this is a little bit more thorough, but the other thing is just a quick kind of fix to make sure that no irreparable harm is done.
Nick, we heard Charles Bediako. He's quoted saying that we believe that we can go all the way with this team and win a title. After watching Charles Bediako, albeit in a loss, but more games foreseeable, how much does this change your outlook for this Alabama team?
Oh, I mean, it definitely improves it. And I think he gave them things that they did not have from a Noah Williamson, and they definitely haven't had from Keaton Bristow, because he's been out and he's been injured, and same with Collins Onyeka. So, yeah, I think that really you could see that he's going to help this team. I mean, he alone is not going to, like, it's not like they added a high-scoring guy who's going to always get you 20-plus points a game. It's not quite that nature, but he's going to do things they haven't had, and that's going to help a lot. And so when they do have an Amari Allen, they do have Aiden Holloway, they have those guys available, then you can see this roster and this lineup be a lot more complete than it was during the time when it was really just Aiden Sherrill providing a lot of those things.
Nick Kelly joins us from AL.com for a few more minutes here on Three Man Front. So pivoting from basketball to football, which we all talk about even in the offseason on every single program we have here on Jocks, wanted to ask you, were you surprised by the change made finally at offensive line, being the coach of the offensive line, and what direction could Alabama be looking in?
Yeah, I was not surprised. I definitely was not, just in the sense that there were rumblings that there might look to be a change made, and if there was a guy that or a spot that they were most likely to make that change, it was going to be on the offensive line coaching job. I mean, now that is something that Ryan Grubb, he's a former offensive line coach, and so if him coming in, mind you, Chris Kapilovic was there before Grubb, meaning that he was brought in once Grubb and Huff went back to the Seattle Seahawks. So yeah, it was a case of, okay, Grubb comes in, Kapilovic is already the offensive line coach, and yeah, Ryan Grubb is a guy who, again, has coached offensive line. He probably has a certain way he wants to do it, and maybe they didn't mesh. I don't know. But either way, this seemed like the most likely change, just because, I mean, the whole group is getting a fresh start. Other than Michael Carroll, you're bringing in a bunch of new starters. And I think that, yeah, this is probably a good time to do that if you do want to make a change, if you're Kalen DeBoer. And so we saw them do that. And as for who's next, I mean, Adrian Clem has been the reported name that a lot of folks have put out there, and I have no reason to believe that that won't be the case. But obviously, it seems like it's not a done deal just yet, but that is the name that obviously folks have reported.
What was your final take, maybe grade? Know that there's always the potential of bringing other guys in, but on what Caitlin DeBoer and that staff have done so far?
Are you talking just in the portal?
Just portal.
I would give it probably a B. I think it was good. They got guys in spots where they needed to. I mean, they needed to backfill in a lot of spots, but there wasn't necessarily a player that was a wow factor kind of guy, or that just you're like, this guy's a game changer. He's going to completely change an outlook of the team. But they filled in a lot of spots they needed to. So I think they did a fine job. It would have been nice, of course, to have Hollywood Smothers, but he went to Texas. So, yeah, I think it was a solid job. And again, for a team that plans to get, I think, their best players from the recruiting ranks rather than trying to sign a bunch of top portal guys, I think a B grade is about what you're looking for. But, hey, if you can do better than that, if you can get a home run guy at a good price, then great. But I think this team, for the most part, you're going to see the bigger swings or the bigger gets be through recruiting, which is essentially like the draft equivalent for the NFL.
So we're a couple months away from Destin and SEC spring meetings, and this is going to be the first football season in which the SEC is going to play a 9-game conference schedule. Do you think that once you get down there to Destin to cover the event, that off the record you're going to hear a lot of people maybe kind of having buyer's remorse for changing their mind and deciding on a 9-game conference schedule based on what we've seen and knowing that the college football playoff is going to stay at 12, not 16?
Man, Pat, you making me think to June or late May is.
I'm trying to get you warm. That's what I'm trying to do,
Thank
Nick.
you.
That's what I'm trying. Think about the beach, taking your wife down there, enjoying the sands of Northwest Florida.
Yes.
There you go. Well, I appreciate the thought. It is a better thought than Chile and the situation we're in now. But to answer your question, yeah, I'm sure there is a little bit of buyer's remorse. And I do think that for these coaches, I mean, they're realizing that maybe scheduling the toughest schedule is not the way to go, and that you will probably get penalized for it if the current system is how it's going to work. So I think there is, I mean, for sure you're going to see fewer games that are out of conference that are really good games. But as far as, yeah, you can't necessarily change what you're doing SEC-wise if you're just, say, one head coach. But so you have to follow that. But I think you definitely know that strength of schedule is not maybe going to be rewarded as much as you would like it to be. So scheduling the toughest possible schedule is not going to help you out in the way you might have thought it would. So, yeah, we'll see long term. We need more evidence. We need to see how it plays out. But I do think there is some trepidation you just added a tougher game to the schedule than you previously had.
He is Nick Kelly. You can follow all of his work there at al.com @_Nick Kelly there on X. Nick, we always appreciate it. Stay warm. Try to put some clothes on. Frostbite's a real thing.
I hope someone's not just tuning in right now.
I hope they
without
are.
The context of how this show started.
Yep. Put on some clothes, Nick. Put on some clothes.
Tank top and shorts, people. Tank top and shorts. That's what we're referring to.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Hey,
always a pleasure.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Nick.
All right.
Man, he was out of here pretty quick.
Yeah, he's going to put on some clothes.
It was cold.
Nick Kelly joining us as our guest do on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
For more than 4 decades, Alabama Professional Services, they've been your trusted choice for pest control, termite protection, lawn care, fertilization, and more. These certified statewide teams at APS, they're experts, friendly, efficient, and reliable. Call them today, 205-951-9717. Whether you're looking to safeguard your home from pests or keep your lawn healthy and green, even in the off-season, call them, 205-951-9717, or simply go to their website, alabamaprofessional.com.
What did Nick Kelly just tell us? What did we learn? We'll discuss it next on Three Man Front.
Great conversation with Nick Kelly from AL.com. Coming up next hour, we will go to the Carolinas. Find out what's going on with Dabo Swinney. Why was he so irritated on Friday? And also get an update on Darian Mensah as he asked Friday for a temporary restraining order because he can't enroll in class based on a restraining order that Duke had filed against him. So he's looking to enroll at the University of Miami and get a lot of money.
And you missed the conversation with Nick. We talked football, we talked basketball, and Charles Bediako, and Nick telling us that he thinks it does change the way that he looks at this Alabama team from a Bediako standpoint and the impact he could have moving forward. And this is a pivotal time to have him for sure.
Yeah, and listen, Tennessee's a good basketball team. Tennessee had struggled as of late, but man, when you lose games at home, and when we talked about this a couple weeks ago, Alabama doesn't have a lot of chances inside Coleman Coliseum to have that type of electric atmosphere on a Saturday night, and they failed again.
Yeah.
And that's you cannot lose those opportunities.
No, because we know how tough it is to go on the road. Just ask an Auburn team that had not won in Gainesville since 1996.
Yeah, 15 games they had lost.
It's tough. So if you're going to drop these at home, they dropped one to Texas. Now they dropped one to Tennessee. You got to go and you got to steal some, quote unquote, on the road, and that's what we're going to be faced with. But at least you got Charles Bediako, it looks like, for the foreseeable future to help you do that.
Yeah, I liked Rick Barnes after the game. He basically said that we changed nothing in regards to the way that we attacked them defensively. Even after the news with Bediako, he said, we played our game.
Somebody missed an assignment on that baseline dunk. That was
a little easy.
He had the full runway.
Well, and I think right after that, they went back to him for the alley-oop, and it was just one of those here we go, but then
go and look at all of
Tennessee
Bediako's shots. All of them.
Yeah.
They're all concentrated.
Well, he was 5 of 6 from the field.
Did he shoot the ball, or were they all dunks?
Right there in front of the rim.
No, he's 5 of 6. Yeah. I think they're all bunnies.
I was about to say, I don't remember him taking maybe a free throw.
The little halo area right there?
Yeah.
They're all right there.
That's where he goes.
Not that anybody in our listening audience didn't think that Phylon would be like a lottery pick, but oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's
some of the stuff that he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
He's good, man. He's good.
He's probably making what, 2.5 of the 2.9 million they're spending on the basketball roster.
Probably because.
And then Aiden Holloway got the rest until Bediako showed up.
Probably, a lot of it. He's worth every penny right now.
Man, goodness gracious, he was. He tallied his 13th game of scoring 20 plus more points this season. The only other player that has done that in Alabama basketball history. Brandon Miller.
Oh, Brandon Miller.
Mm-hmm. Sure did. Yep. So, yeah, he just poured in 26 points the other night.
Got to get W's. Got a Missouri basketball team. Boy. That was an entertaining game.
That buzzer beater was awesome.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Tough to come by. I think that's going to probably do it for Porter.
Poor Porter Moser, man.
Yeah, he's down there with LSU at 1-6 in the league. Not good.
Mm-mm.
But as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, you had Alabama drop to a 6 seed according to Jerry Palm's latest bracket projections.
But the good news is, because I was doing a deep dive on the net last night, you look at Alabama, look at their quad 1 wins, and it's credit to Nate Oates and how he schedules. They're, I think, 4-5.
4-5
in quad 1 games.
Mm-hmm.
And then you slide down, because I was talking, is probably going to be more of a factor with Auburn.
They're 4-6.
But 4-6. And then you look at teams that are ahead of Alabama, Auburn in the net, or some of those teams that are around. I was looking at Indiana. While Indiana's got a pretty good net, they're 0-6 in quad 1 games. These are all things that the committee will take into account.
We talking about football last year? Or we talking about basketball?
We're talking basketball.
Well, yeah, you've got the highest net team for the SEC is Vanderbilt at 13. But see, nobody in the SEC has more than 4 quad 1 wins.
Right.
That was a little bit different last year.
It was.
And
now, wasn't it Auburn that it took a while?
They had a crazy number last year, though, for quad 1. I forgot what Auburn's was, but it was outstanding.
I think was it not the most
wins?
Wins?
Were they in double digits?
Yeah, they had like 12, 13 quad 1 wins or something like that. It was incredible.
I think it might have been a modern, because the net has not been around.
It might have been a modern record.
And I think Auburn's number of wins was either tied or set a record. So, yeah, you're sitting here looking at the SEC. Vandy's 4-3. Florida's 4-6. Arkansas 4-5. Bama's 4-5. Tennessee's 3-5. Auburn is 4-6. Kentucky is 3-5. So, I mean, there's your top 7 teams according to the net.
And Buckyball flexed again.
They did, but see, they're not getting
They're not getting any love.
They're like the 9th best team according to the net in the SEC.
Because they haven't played anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here looking, they're 2-3 with quad 1. They're 3-1 quad 2, 4-0 in quad 3.
The best team they've played in conference has been Tennessee on the road. They went to overtime and they lost that one. So.
They're also 7-0 in quad 4. So those two, quad 3 and quad 4, you're sitting there at 10-0. Kind of pads that record. Hour number 2, straight ahead. This is Reaction Monday. We'll get to your text messages. For those of you that are working out and about, you want to give us a call, 1-800-239-WJOX. This is 3 Man Front on a Reaction Monday.